and welcome to episode 70 of the Tea and Possibilities podcast. I'm Nikki and this is a podcast all about knitting, crochet and making all the things here in northwest London. You can find me on Instagram at hippie_Nikki. I'm Nikki Hippie on Ravelry, and if you search for Tea and Possibilities under the groups tab on Ravelry, you will find our group right there. There will be a chatter thread in that group about this episode, but I will put quick links to everything I talk about in the box below. And if you want juicier show notes, you'll find a link to those on my blog just down there. As always, a really big thank you and welcome to any new viewers. Thank you so much for giving the podcast a shot. I really do appreciate it. I know there is a lot of other podcasts out there. And to my returning viewers, thank you, because I know that I have been not very reliable this year so far for various reasons. So I really do appreciate you coming back every episode. Before we get into the usual content of the episode, I just want to say another very special thank you. And that thank you is to the NHS workers and to everyone who works in medicine, in hospitals, in any way, shape or form around the world. At the moment, it is late March. I actually don't know what the date is today because I've barely left the house. So I'm struggling with what days of the week it is. But we are in late March. We are in the UK currently on a 3-week lockdown, which may or may not be extended, and NHS workers are continuing to go to work, putting their own health at risk in order to help other people, and I just think that's amazing. My mum works in the NHS, she's another key worker, so I do see the stress and the toll it takes on people, and I just want to say a massive thank you. I mean, it feels like not enough, but I just wanted to make it clear that I just think everyone who is doing their bit, and even not just the NHS workers, other people, you know, people who are working in supermarkets and making sure everyone is getting what they need, you know, everyone who's doing their bit at this time, just thank you. And speaking of, there may be some ambient noise in this episode. It has been a beautiful week, absolutely gorgeous spring-like week. Really, really bright sunny blue skies, and today it's a little bit more overcast, which is kind of typical when you want to film and you rely on natural light quite a bit, but where I live is a fairly lively area, and at the first kind of hint of sunshine, people are out in their gardens or they're opening their windows and they're playing their music, which is actually something I really like about living around here, but even with all my windows shut I can hear it, so it may be picked up, but you know, a little bit of cheerful background noise will hopefully not be minded too much. And now for what is my tea this week. I'm going to start with what the mug is. So this is an enormous mug, which is almost as big as my head. And this was a gift from Caroline of the Knitting Vicarious podcast, so Dundonit. I was very lucky when she was in Florida. She asked me to house/cat sit for her. And obviously she came back quite early due to various lockdowns that were happening due to the coronavirus. But I had a very lovely few days there. It was really nice just to hang out with the cat, do some cooking, do some viewing, you know, it's just really nice. And she brought this back for me, as well as some other things, which I will share later. And I have been living with this mug. It's my go-to because it is like a bucket, but there's no tea in it. This is actually a mocha. I am a tea drinker. I am pretty much almost only a tea drinker. I can take or leave coffee. However, where I work at the university, we have a coffee shop on campus, and it's really nice to go and get a coffee. And I will always get coffee in a coffee shop because I don't really understand paying several pounds for a cup of tea when I have in my cupboard here like 20 odd varieties, and I haven't had coffee in about 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks, and my mum got these little coffee sachets, and so I was like, yeah, cool, I'm gonna have a mocha. Is it as good as tea? No, it's not, but it tastes really, really good because I can't go to my local coffee shop and get one, and I haven't had one in ages. So yeah, I appreciate it for that. But now let's move on to the actual content of this episode. Let's have a look at Whipped Up. Now I'm going to kick off this episode with a faux. And I want you to brace yourself. I want you to put down any drinks that you may be drinking. I want you to sit down potentially, because this is horrific, but it is a faux. And therefore I am duty bound to share it with you. This is the baby Yoda that I knit. It's terrible. It's so bad. Yeah, this is little baby Yoda. I love baby Yoda. You know, great time for Disney Plus to launch in the UK and be free for 7 days. The Mandalorian is an amazing TV show. I absolutely love it. Baby Yoda. I love Baby Yoda so much. I love him. I have genuinely had more maternal feelings toward Baby Yoda than I have to actual babies. I love him. I just love him. And this was a gift. The pattern, the yarn, and the little button eyes, this was all a gift to make my own Baby Yoda. Now, this is the Baby Yoda pattern by Kim Conan, and it is free, I think probably because of it being a Disney character. And the yarn I was given, this is, the little shawl is knit out of Stitch and Story, which I've never used before. I have given it a good grope in shops before, so it was quite nice to get to work with it. It was absolutely lovely. I don't really knit on chunky yarn though, so it was a bit heavy going on my hands, but it was lovely. Baby Yoda himself is knit out of Rico Design, Essential Merino, I think, in the Aran weight. All the info will be on the screen or down below because I probably have got that slightly wrong. But yeah, this is my little Baby Yoda. And he's cute, but he looks like he has seen some things, doesn't he? He looks like he's had a really bad time. And that's just because I have many skills. I have many skills in life. Making toys, not one of them. Not one of them. So yeah, I think he just needs to be a little bit rounder in the head. Maybe if he squished down more. I am thinking of removing his ears and reattaching them to make them a bit more kind of, I don't want to hold him up by his ears, that feels cruel. You know, I don't know. I'm going to potentially unpick them and fiddle around with them a bit more. But yeah, that's my little Baby Yoda. And it was a birthday present, and it was a very sweet and very thoughtful birthday present by someone who doesn't know anything about knitting, so thank you. I'm just gonna, he's gonna live there now from now on, I think, in my podcasts, just here in the corner. I actually had quite a lot left over of the yarn and the stuffing. I just used cotton wool balls that I kind of unravelled and stuffed. So I sent them to my lovely friend who made a beautiful Baby Yoda. Like a Baby Yoda that actually looked like a Baby Yoda and not like he had been absolutely haunted. You know, like really cute Baby Yoda. So yeah. Just can't believe this is awful. This is so bad. But I love him. I love him because he's my Baby Yoda, and you know, like after we've done something to his ears, he'll be fine. I might also get different eyes. I might get like more rounded, beady eyes. Maybe that will help. I don't think anything's gonna help, but I'll give it a go. Can you tell I've not really left the house in a week? But hey, you know, it's a faux. It's a faux. I actually finished something and that's amazing. Oh gosh. But next up we do have a hoe, which also has some failure involved, but you know, we'll come to that. This is my first finished Dundaknit sock. So this is the Dundaknit Rainbow by Tiny Human Knits on her merino sock base, and the contrast cuff, heel and toe is in West Yorkshire Spinners signature 4-ply in nutmeg, and I got every bit of that right first go. Yeah. Yeah, as I said in the last episode, I went for the nutmeg for the contrast because it's about as close to gold as I have in my stash, and we know that Caroline loves a bit of gold, and it just goes really beautifully, I think. Makes a really, really lovely sock. I adore this. I think it's beautiful. I can't wait to wear them. However, spot the problem. Just down here we have a little stitch marker that has caught my dropped stitch. And I think I was probably knitting, I don't know what I was watching, but I was probably watching something, so I wasn't paying attention. I've dropped a stitch and I'm not really sure what to do with it, to be honest with you. I mean, I could, you know, do I kind of try and ladder it all the way back up? I don't think that will work because it's all quite smooth. I don't really know, do I tie a knot in it? Will I just have a little niggly feeling there if I put a knot in it? So if you have any good tips for picking up a drop stitch in a finished sock, I would love to hear them, because I'm just a little bit annoyed about that, because I really loved knitting on these. And I was a bit frustrated to see that when I blocked them. But apart from that, I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to finish the second one. And here is the second one. I've got all the leg done. I'm just working on the heel flap, so I'm probably going to get the heel flap finished and turned this weekend, if not today. And I have managed to match them so far. So there you go. As you can see, they are matching. I don't know if I am going to have enough yarn to go all the way to the end. I do have a second skein, which I was hoping to give away, but maybe I will need to dig into it. But I did have to roll off about 3 stripes to get them to match, so maybe I can finagle it from there. I don't know. I will report back on how much of the skein I had left, how much I needed to use, if I did need to dig into that second skein. But the one good thing I will say about working from home, there are many good things about working from home. There's an extra hour in bed. I'm not spending any money on my commute. You know, there's plenty. I don't have to buy lunch. I'm not tempted to buy lunch. I don't have to buy lunch when I go to work. But there's like some really nice places to eat. But one of the good things, before I got completely sidetracked, is the fact that I got pretty much all of this leg done at work yesterday. And that was because I had several meetings, and when you're not in an office environment, you can sit and knit, you know. I probably wouldn't take my knitting into a meeting in my actual job, but when you're, you know, when it's a large meeting and you're only doing audio, no one's gonna know. And when it's video, you can just be knitting down here and nobody knows. So I did get quite a good chunk of that, and I have actually found it's really helped me with working from home, because it's very easy to get distracted when you're in meetings and you're in your room and you can hear things going on elsewhere. But there's something about keeping my hands busy that really helps me to focus. So that's been amazing. Yeah, so that's my second sock. I'm hoping to get that finished very, very soon. Now, next up is a new cast on, which I promised myself I wouldn't do. I was gonna finish things, you know, I had all these good intentions, but you know, I'm on lockdown. I can do whatever I want. But before I show you the project, I want to show you the bag it's in, because it is this beautiful hide and hammer bag in this gorgeous, gorgeous yellow. I love it so much. It's open at the moment rather than kind of folded down and looking really cute. It's really big and roomy, as you can see, because it's got a big pattern in it. But this was a gift from Caroline as a thank you for house knitting. House knitting? House sitting. I did knit in her house, but I didn't knit the house. And she was very, very kind to give me several presents upon arrival, and then the cup when she got back. And this was one of them. And this is absolutely gorgeous, and I would 100% buy more of these. This is just, oh, it's so nice, and I love it so, so much. And it fits so much in here. But I'm going to show you the pattern first, because that's what's on top. I have talked about my hat many, many times. And my hat is this one here. Don't know if you can see that. This is called the Tuck Stitch Beret, so it's D, and it is by Serdar, and it's their Escape DK set of patterns, 9075. So there you go. And I first had this hat knit for me by my nan when I was about 20 or 21, when I went to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And then I lost it a couple of years later, and she knit me another one. And then I know that I lost it when I went out one night in Shoreditch in 2018, and she knit me another one. But unfortunately it wasn't the same yarn. It didn't come out quite as good as the previous one I had, but I still wear it a lot because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous hat. And I think I spoke about this on the last episode, or potentially the one before, where I said what I like about it is that it's nicely fitted around the face. So it's not baggy, it hugs nicely. But it's roomy enough in the back that I can kind of tie my hair up and tuck it away and it not kind of smush everything. Whereas my Caswell Bay hat, which I really, really love, I kind of have to either plait my hair down to the side or like have my hair very down, keep it on and have no intention really of removing it. Because when I remove it, because it's a beanie style and it's very, very tight, it just makes my hair kind of go poof. And then I have to kind of brush it and yeah. And as you have no doubt told, if you've seen several episodes, I'm not really that committed to dealing with my hair. So this is a great hat for that. And I decided I would knit another one because I love my little grey one. It's not quite the same yarn, which is a shame because it was gorgeous grey, but I still love it. I wear it a lot. So it'd be good to have another one. Because, I mean, I'm sure there is that thing where people say, like, if you like something, get it in every colour. Which I do. I do that with dresses. Like, if I find a simple dress that I like, I will get it in every colour. So why not do it with hats? So as well as this beautiful, beautiful hide and hammer bag, the lovely Caroline gave me a couple of skeins of yarn, which I will show you shortly. But this one is Plucky Knitter. And this is their cozy base. So it's merino camel and it is, oh, it's so soft. So soft. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's my first time using Plucky. I just love it so much. It's so lovely. And this is their Nessie colourway. So it's a very blue, kind of black, dark charcoal kind of grey. And it's got splashes of bright blue and bright green in it. And blues and greens, my favourite colours. And I thought this would make a good hat because it is fairly neutral, but it has cute little pops of colour in it. And that's what I really liked about the Escape DK by Serdar, which has been discontinued, that it wasn't a flat grey. There was like lots of variation in it, and that's what I really, really liked about it. So I thought this would make a really good companion piece to my grey hat. So I am working on it. The modifications I've done, I did a twisted stitch rib, and that's the only modification that I've done. But I think this week my hormones and the being inside and the general anxiety going on in the world really got to me, because this is the second time I've cast this on. For some reason, I couldn't do the tuck stitch section. It didn't matter how many times I did it, it kept looking wrong. It just didn't look neat or tidy. So one day I just went, you know what? I am just going to rip this out. I'm not going to keep ripping back to the ribbing. I'm going to rip out the whole thing. And as you can see, I had caped this yarn up at Caroline's, but I wrapped what I ripped out around the edge, and I started from the middle instead, and I just started from scratch. And that just made my brain feel like it had reset, and it went, okay, sure, we're starting again. We're gonna do this properly. And it's worked fine. I've done one repeat of the tuck stitch section. I'm about to start the second one, and it's worked out absolutely fine. So I don't know if you ever find that, where you just keep unpicking and doing and unpicking and doing, and then one day you just go, I'm just gonna start completely from scratch, and that seems to work. I don't know why. But yeah, I can't wait to finish this. I'm hoping to finish this very, very soon, and I think it will be a lovely addition to my hat collection. So there are no other whips at the moment. I am trying to be quite monogamous. I really want to get the Dundee Knit socks finished and that stitch picked up, which is when I will consider them to be finished. And I want to get my hat finished. And then I'm really going to focus, I think, on my Cozy Squares blanket, because then that is a big, big whip that is finished. And I can ball up the leftovers and put them into my Cozy Stripes blanket. Because of what's been going on and spending a lot of time at home, I finally bit the bullet and bought the little armchair for my Kia that I've been dying to get for ages, and that's where my Cozy Stripes blanket is living at the moment, because it is big enough to snuggle under and work on at the same time. So it'd be really nice to have some yarn to put into that. And thereafter, yes, I will finish the Holly Berry socks. I will, I promise I will. I might actually pick them up one lunchtime. But before we move on to Knit and Natter, I wanted to share the other two gifts that Caroline gave me. So just to reiterate, when I arrived to house sit at Caroline's, she had left me a little thank you present bundle, which was entirely unexpected and just a bit mind-blowing, because it was this beautiful hide and hammer bag that I've shown you. It was the Plucky Knitter and 2 more skeins of yarn. This one is Fab Funky Fibres, and it's Mr. Smith, which I feel like is a reference to something, but I don't know what that's referencing at all. This is definitely 100% going to be another pair of Christmas socks when I am back in that mood, because with the reds and the greens and the yellows and the kind of off-whites, it just screams Christmas to me. And I will probably do it with red heels, toes and cuffs, or maybe green if I find a nice green. But that is that. And she also gave me, as well as my first skein of Plucky, my first skein of cat sandwich fibres. Oh, this is gorgeous. This is their trusty sock base, and it is 75/25 merino nylon, and it is Secrets of the Golden Flower. God, that's lovely. Isn't that gorgeous? I just want to put this on display. I think having stayed at Caroline's and been like in the same room fairly often as all the stash, I just want to display all of mine now. I have precisely zero idea what to do with this. I think it would be, I mean, it would be a snazzy pair of socks, but I kind of feel like it needs to be more on display than a pair of socks would be. So I'm wondering if maybe I team this with a more neutral colour, like a dark grey, and make a kind of stripy shawl. I don't know. But yes, this is stunning, and I can't wait to knit this up. I just love these pops of colour in the gold. I mean, I love a good yellow, as Caroline knows. Yellow and blues and greens, absolute favourite colours. And I just, oh, look at that blue against the yellow. Just makes me so happy. So thank you, Caroline. Entirely unnecessary, but very, very, very much appreciated. Mwah. So let's move on to a little bit of knit and natter. Weird drinking this coffee because it makes me feel like I should be at work, because that's pretty much the only place I get coffee unless I'm out with a friend. Very strange. And of course now I'm going, wait, what day is it? Because it is definitely Saturday. I've just got no idea of the concept of days of the week anymore. I've no idea. But yeah, knit and natter, here we are. Not just me blathering on, making no sense. So, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, we are all living in incredibly strange times. I don't think any of us have ever experienced anything like this before. It's almost, I sometimes almost struggle to believe that this is the current kind of climate, that I'm not really allowed out and I can't go to the gym and I can't go to work, and it just feels so surreal. I can't, there are definite moments where I can't quite wrap my head around it. But it is the case, it is real life for the time being, hopefully not for too much longer, but for as long as it takes. And it's a very difficult time because it can get very lonely, even if you're sharing a house with people. And it can be really boring, even if you're somebody with a lot of hobbies. It can be very boring because all of a sudden your options are taken away. So for me, I would love nothing more some weekends than just sitting and watching a load of films and knitting all weekend. But now that that's kind of all that's available to me, and I can't go for my really, really long runs or my long walks, and I can't go and see my friends or go to museums or go to the gym, suddenly because I can't do those things, I want to do them. And I don't want to just be in. And I think that's kind of typical of the human condition, that part of the joy of spending your weekend on the sofa is that you are actively not doing kind of more productive things. And I think that's kind of part of the delight we take in it almost. But when those options are taken away, you know, it's kind of more, it does feel more trapping. And I certainly have felt quite trapped. And I do try to go out a little bit every day. I haven't really been out the last few days for various reasons. But, you know, you can go out for a bit of exercise, but it's not the same. And it is difficult. And I am very, very lucky that I am at home with my family and that we're okay, we're all fine. And we do have enough space that we can be together and also be apart if we need to. So we are very, very lucky, but it is hard. And I just thought I'd talk a little bit about what I've been up to in kind of quarantine, isolation. So obviously, mostly I have been knitting. As I said, I've managed to knit through various meetings, which has been great, but I've also been watching a lot of stuff. So I've been watching a lot of films. I've been catching up on various podcasts. So I've gone back and listened to a few episodes of the Privy Chamber for Rex Factor because I am a patron. I have caught up almost on Knit More Girls because I'd kind of fallen off at the beginning of the year, so I'm almost caught up with them. And I'm trying to find new podcasts, so I will talk potentially next week because I've got a few that I'm trying out and I don't know yet if I want to recommend them, so I will let you know. And then of course the Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince came to an end on Harry Potter and the Sacred Text, which was very emotional. I'm feeling quite emotional generally at the moment, so I probably overreacted to that podcast, but it was very, very good. And if you haven't listened to that podcast yet, I would really recommend it. It's very thoughtful, very earnest, very kind, and that's probably, I think, what we need at this time. I am revisiting favourite films. There is something to be said, I think, for familiarity and comfort in a time where everything does feel unfamiliar. And kind of the things that we used to rely on for comfort, like social interaction and a hug and things like that, are not really available to us. So it's been really nice to revisit Jurassic Park. And I watched Jurassic World straight afterwards, just for comparison purposes. There have been several Disney films in my life, and The Mandalorian, of course. It's just been really nice to kind of turn my brain off and enjoy things where I know how it's going to end, I know what's going to happen, and I really enjoy that comfort right now. I've also done a lot of reading. So I recently finished The Mercies by Kieran Millward Hargrave, I think it is. I'll put it on the screen here, which was very, very good. It's about a witch trial on a Norwegian island in the 1600s, and it is bleak. It is very, very bleak. But I still kind of loved it. I just wanted to highlight that it is bleak because that might not be what you're looking for at the moment, which I completely understand, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was a birthday gift, which is why it's one of the, first books on the top of my pile. And I thought it was beautifully written, incredibly well researched. It really made you feel like you were there, but it is terrifying, as books about witch trials tend to be. But I would highly recommend it if that's kind of the mood you're in for the time being. And I am about to start another book. Next up for me is this one, which is The Golden Thread by Cassia St. Clair, and this is about how fabric changed history. So it is a non-fiction book. I haven't started it yet, but I have heard many, many good things about it. And apparently it looks at the linen wrappings of Tutankhamun's mummy to the silk roads, from the woolen sails that helped the Vikings reach America to the lace ruffs that infuriated Puritans. So absolutely right up my street. Also completely matches my most recently finished sock, which I really enjoy. They kind of go together, and I would definitely like this as a striping sequence in a future sock. So I'm really looking forward to starting that. I really like having beautiful hard copy books. I do read a lot on Kindle, but I do love having beautiful real books as well. And because I'm working from home, it makes it much easier to read them. So the copy of the Mercies that I have, which I have lent to my mum, which is why I don't have it to hand, is a hard copy, and it's got a beautiful dust jacket. And it's just so lovely that it's the kind of thing I would not put in my bag to read on the bus to work. And this is a soft cover book, so I wouldn't put this in my bag either. I just kind of like to keep them looking nice. Because it is such a gorgeous looking book. So I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm working from home, so I can get a lot more of my hard copy reading done. Kind of the reason I love my Kindle is that I can read book after book after book and not have to worry about keeping them in good nick. Next up, I do intend to download The Mirror and the Light by Hilary Mantel. I have been waiting for this to come out for so long. Wolf Hall is the first in the series, followed by Bring Up the Bodies, and The Mirror and the Light will be the conclusion of the Thomas Cromwell trilogy. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend it. However, it is very dense and the style takes some getting used to. It's a bit strange. So I would recommend giving it a go. And persevering for the first 2 to 3 chapters, just to get yourself used to the style before you give up on it potentially. But it is totally worth it. It's so good. The BBC did an adaptation called Wolf Hall, which I believe, yes, it covered Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies. So I am really hoping that they do an adaptation for The Mirror and the Light, because Mark Rylance, who played Thomas Cromwell, was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I think I'm right in saying that the whole thing was lit naturally. So they did a lot of candlelight and they didn't really use traditional lighting sets, which I think is pretty cool. Something else I'm doing is I have signed up to do a short course. Historic Royal Palaces have got a couple of courses available. One is on the history of royal food and drink, and one is on the history of royal fashion. And you can guess which one I'm doing. I haven't started it yet. I'm planning to start it this weekend, and I'm really, really looking forward to finding out more about it. I visited the Bacton altar cloth a few weeks ago, back in February, with my mum, and I was just blown away by it. I think I mentioned in the last episode, I wasn't blown away by the kind of exhibition itself. You can't really call it an exhibition. Display, I think, is a better word. And I definitely wasn't blown away by that, because I was super disappointed not to find out more about the conservation that went into it, the kind of discovery, etc. And I think it would have been beautiful to do all that and then lead into, here it is, this is the piece. So I think that was a real shame. And I'm really, really hoping there's going to be some content released, around the Bacton altar cloth and what went into preserving it, discovering it, etc., because I found it fascinating. But yeah, so it's great to have something to dig into and learn more. So that is really good. I will also be doing more making. So as well as the knitting, I'm gonna make a dinosaur. This was one of my birthday presents as well. I'm gonna make this. It's the most ridiculous little thing I've ever seen. So ridiculous. But he might make a cute little friend for baby Yoda. It's just something to do, really. My cousin has a baby who just turned 1, so he's not really a baby anymore. And he and his partner have asked that I knit them a Triceratops head for their room. So as soon as they come back into stock, sincerely Louise, I'll be working on that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna make a happy little T-Rex. I'm also thinking about potentially getting myself some silver clay to maybe make some jewellery. That's just kind of a vague idea at the moment. I don't know that I'm definitely going to do that. I have been trying to step up my yoga because I can't do my running. I'm due to do a 10-mile run this weekend. As I've talked about before, I'd set myself the challenge to do 10 miles every month for a year. And I just don't feel comfortable doing a 10-mile run. It takes me just under 2 hours. I just don't want to be hitting the streets at the moment because it is unnecessary. I can go for a long walk instead. Which is probably what I will do, so I'll probably just put that on hold. So I'm doing more yoga, which is really nice because I haven't done yoga properly in years, really. And I used to be quite, I don't like saying I was good at yoga because that's not really the point of yoga, but I used to be a lot more flexible than I am now, and running in particular has kind of made me less flexible, so I think it'd be a really good thing to counterbalance that. So I'm trying to do that quite regularly. I am doing a little bit of writing every day. I do have a habit tracker now in my bullet journal, which I didn't have before. It is my self-isolation habit tracker. So I'm trying to kind of remind myself to hydrate, take my vitamins, do some movement. And, you know, I'm giving myself a gold star every day that I don't spend money, because it is very easy, I have found, when you are kind of locked in to order things in to entertain you. But actually this is a great opportunity for me to curb that particular spending habit and save some money. So I'm giving myself a gold star for that as well. I'm also just trying to be gentle with myself. I had always kind of thought that I was an introvert because if I socialise too much, I can get a little bit freaked out and very much need some me time. But this has taught me that I'm actually an extrovert. I'm probably on the lower end of that scale, but I really love going out and doing things. And actually the thing that freaks me out when I've gone out too much is usually that I haven't done things that I need to do. Like I'm usually like, oh, there's laundry to do and things to finish, and I should be doing those things. And it, you know, rather than needing me time. So that was an interesting thing to discover about myself. And much as I'm doing my Skype knit nights and I'm getting on house party to kind of talk to my friends and play games with them, I do miss the interaction. So I've got my mum and my nan, and as I say, I'm very, very lucky, but I do miss the interaction with my friends. So I'm being really gentle with myself. So if I don't hit, you know, my hydration goal, or if I don't do my yoga, if all I do is take a really good nap, that's fine, I think. I was thinking this week that I should, note the word should, I should be running some kind of knit along, you know, to kind of keep everybody's spirits up at this time. But to be perfectly honest with you, a lot of my energy is going into keeping my spirits up and keeping my motivation with work, because obviously when you're working from home and you're away from your team and your friends, it can be a bit more difficult. And I'm forgiving myself for not having the bandwidth to do that, and I am really, really sorry. I would love nothing more than to be able to provide something really fun to do, to, you know, give us something positive to focus on, but I'm just not there yet. Maybe I will be, but I'm just not there yet. And I think that the best thing we can do for ourselves in this time is be gentle with ourselves. We live in an unprecedented time, and we have to get through it as best we can. There is no blueprint that we can follow, and we have to do what we need to do. So that's it for this week. I will see you very soon for another cup of tea, even though this is coffee. But yes, I will see you very soon. But in the meantime, have a lovely knitty couple of weeks. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay home. Take care. Bye. I'll tell you what, this is the first time I have put makeup on in about 3 weeks. So I will probably not get straight to editing this. I will probably Skype some friends. I will probably Skype some friends while I have a full face of makeup on and they don't have to see me with unbrushed hair and in my pajamas.